Hey guys, this is Thomas from NurseMoneyTalk, and in this video, I'm going to answer the question, how hard is it to find a job after nursing school? But on top of that, I'm going to show you at the end some of the steps I took to make sure that I had not one, but two jobs ready to go after graduating nursing school. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Before I get to that though, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, I just want to ask, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you do not miss any of my upcoming videos. In this channel, talk about nursing students and all things Nurse Life. So make sure to hit that notification bell. And also, if you find this video helpful, would really appreciate that thumbs up. Let's go ahead and get started with how hard is it to find a job after nursing school. And interestingly enough, despite the claim of a nursing shortage here, nursing shortage there, many new grads actually across the country are going to have a hard time getting their first nursing job. Part of the issue with that is that, in terms of nursing shortages are it depends on where you're at, where you're at in the country. Some places, they just don't have enough nurses. And then you'll find some places where they actually do have, they do have enough nurses, or they have enough nurses to where they can actually be picky. Or places where, like, if you're an experienced nurse, you might not have a hard time, finding a job if you want it. But if you're a new nurse with no experiences, it could be more challenging to actually land your first job. So it's kind of the geographic, it's dependent on your geographic area. But now what I want to do is give you some tips, some tricks you can use to try to set yourself up for a job before graduating from nursing school. Number one is to make sure to treat every clinical like it's a job interview. So when you go into a clinical, you need to take it seriously. You would be surprised how many nurse managers are actually looking at the clinical student, or the students, the nursing students who are in clinical, and are wondering, which one of these could potentially make some new employees. I actually had, I think it was like one or two managers actually either approached me or through conversation, kind of mentioned that, if I wanted a job there, that that I would definitely have an opportunity for it, if I wanted it. Now, how do you get to that point of having that conversation? One, you have to be proactive. You have to show up to clinicals ready to work. You have to, you honestly, you have to make a good impression. There's no other way to put it, because, like, if you show up there, you're lazy, you don't want to work, like, or you make a bad impression, you're making whoever the nurse you're following, you're making their life more difficult. Do you think they're going to want to work with you, or they're going to put in a recommendation? No, they're not. Or, like, if you were to apply later and then the manager brought it up and then they were like, oh, wait, no. This person was a nursing student, did clinicals here. They're not a hard worker. They're going to actually push for you to not get a job there. So it's making a good first impression in clinicals is a really big deal. The next one is to network while you're in nursing school. So this could mean like either forming a connection with your nursing faculty, because remember, these are your faculty members are typically older nurses. They've been in the field for a really long time. A lot of them, pretty much all of them, will have connections to other nurses in other departments across the city. And so if you were really struggling and you formed a good connection, they could potentially be good leads to you getting your next a job after nursing school. The other thing to think about is to look at joining like a professional nursing organization. If you're a student, typically with some of these nursing organizations, you might be limited on kind of like what capacity you can work in. But the goal is to hopefully be able to show up for some of those meetings, be able to network or talk to nurses who are connected to other departments in your area. Third one you could look at is getting a nurse aide job while you're in nursing school. This one is probably my absolute favorite. This is one of the things that I did, and it's what made the biggest difference for me. I worked as a nurse tech in the ICU, also worked as a mental health tech in a psychiatric department of a hospital. In both situations, I was able to land a job pretty much guaranteed before graduating nursing school. And the big thing though with these specialties is that, especially if you're looking for, the key thing with getting a job as a nurse tech is that if you're looking to get a job after you graduate in specialties that are typically hard for new grads to break into, this is one of the best ways to do it. Go in there, try to get a nurse tech job there. It improves your chances of getting in to that department as as a new nurse. Obviously, can't really guarantee that you'll get a job there, especially like if for whatever reason they just happen to not be hiring or something like that. But honestly, like if you are a hard worker, show up on time, pleasant to work with, and that department typically hires new grads for a staff nursing position, and they have a position open. Honestly, it would be really surprising to me if you were not one of the front runners for that position. Next one is, of course, looking at preparing your resume. I think this is one that unfortunately I think a lot of nursing students don't take seriously, especially if you go the more traditional route of looking at applying through like just a job board, which, by the way, you can go look at nursemoneytalk.com/jobs and then look at the job board that I have on that site. But if you're doing that, you're going to need a good resume. Now, of course, you can find templates and whatnot that you can do and you can do it yourself. So you can definitely do that. Personally, I think one of the easiest things to do is to actually pay a service to do it for you, especially the first go around. Because once you pay for a service to do it for you, to format it for you and everything else, then you have a template you can work with. And then moving forward, you can then just update it, update whatever, with whatever new experiences you have, but you're updating one that's already been professionally done for you. So you can go check out nursemoneytalk.com/resumable or resumeable. I don't know. Something like that. Like, I don't even know how you're supposed to pronounce it, but you'll see the link on the video, and then it'll also be in the description below. So definitely check that out. That's because even for me, like the resume that I have now that I've been kind of updating and improving was one that I had professionally done like years ago, and I've just been rolling rolling with it. So it definitely works. Number 5 is to practice your interview skills. You're going to more likely to not get interviewed for these jobs. Now, if you work there as a nurse tech and then you graduate and whatnot, depending on the program that you work with, depending on the facility you work at, there's a good chance you might not even really need to interview, and then they'll accept your application and just kind of move you into that position. So that's quite possible. But if you go the traditional route, and there are some programs where just like regardless of what your status is, everybody has to get interviewed. Then if that's the case, then you'll definitely need to make sure that you do research to make sure that you understand how you need to answer some of the questions that you're going to ask there, and what are some interviewing etiquettes that you need to do. I have a lot of resources out there on NurseMoneyTalk.com. So you can, if you just search NurseMoneyTalk.com on Google and then just type nurse interview, then you'll see a full list of the stuff that I have out there. Or also you can actually see it in the descriptions below as well. I'll try to put some of them on there, or just search it on NurseMoneyTalk.com, the actual site itself. Next one is to take your boards ASAP. Take it as soon as possible. Because once you have, because a lot of you will get conditional offers. So, you'll get a job conditional on the fact that you pass boards. They might even already have like a start date for you. So when all of that is set in stone, what can really mess it up is if you don't take boards on time, or you don't pass boards the first time. So typically for this I would recommend that you get a good NCLEX prep course. So nursemoneytalk.com/NCLEX prep. And so get a good NCLEX prep course, typically like good ones. They'll kind of help you kind of organize and plan out based on when your test date is going to be. And just be focused on taking as soon as possible and making sure that you do the very best that you can the very first go around. And with that said, if for whatever reason something messes up the time plan, the time that you guys set at, the timeline, that you and your future employer kind of had already set up, make sure you reach out to them ahead of time. Don't just sit and wait until the very last minute, or wait for them to reach out to you and be like, why haven't you already started? Make sure you reach out to them as soon as possible. Make sure that you show them that you are being proactive, because that can make a pretty big difference. The last tip I'm going to include on here, and it's the one that I think will frustrate a lot of new nurses the most, and that's be prepared to accept the job you don't want. Because at the end of the day, you could have like high hopes of, going from nursing school straight to ER or straight to the ICU. And while that does happen, it doesn't always. What that means is you might have to accept the job offer you don't want. Something to note though is that don't think of it as a failure. Many of these places, many of these nursing specialties are, can be very tough places and tough starting points for new grads. And you'll always have an opportunity to break into those areas anyway, but just look at this as being that your primary goal after graduation is to secure a job. You want to land a job, because once you land that first job, even if it's the one you don't want, especially if you're depending on what your financial situation is, because that's also important, then that can give you at least the confidence and the security, okay, I already have this job going on. So then I need to figure out how can I get into the specialty that I want, whether that's after, a year at this job, then I'm going to try to move on to something else or something, something of that nature, because it's not, the first job you start in, it's probably not going to be the job you stick with forever. So just kind of keep all of that in mind as you as you're deciding what you need to do. All right. So that is actually all I have for this particular video. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment sections below. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and of course that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed, and I will catch you very soon in that next video.